Welcome to Life's a Coach. Our mission is to empower individuals like you to take charge of your life, discover your purpose, and elevate your performance to new heights. Each week, we'll be diving into engaging discussions, introducing you to valuable tools from the coaching world, and giving you different perspectives on individual development. Whether you're seeking clarity, motivation, or a fresh perspective, we've got you covered. Again, welcome to Life's a Coach, where the power to transform your life begins now.
Welcome back to Life's a Coach, guys. My name's Eric Clermont. Today we've got a full crew in the house. We've got life coaches Avril, Almar, and Sofia. How's it going, guys?
Amazing.
To be here.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's good that
Fantastic.
we are back, all the four of us.
I know. Super excited. So today, guys, we've got a treat for you. We're going to be diving into love languages. For those of you who don't know what love languages are, introduced by Dr. Gary Chapman, they suggest that people express and receive love in 5 primary ways: words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. So we're going to be kind of diving into some contentious topics around love languages. My first question for the Life Coach crew is, what is your primary love language, and how did you find out that that was your love language? And that one goes to Avril. Come on, I can't do the ladies like that. You know me.
All right. Mine quality time. So I took the quiz online some years back and also recently, like about 5, 6 months ago again. And yeah, that's how I found out mine. And though I say it's quality time, it's not 100%. So when you take these quizzes, at least you find one that you're leaning more towards, but you still have attributes of the rest, attributes of the rest. So yeah, I think I'm more heavily on the quality time than the rest, but I also have physical touch, words of affirmation as well.
Next,
Sophia.
Almar or Sofia? Who's up?
Sophia.
Oh, I can go next, but I read the book and I did the test that is in the book. So I believe that what Avril did online is
Show us the book. Show us the book since you got it.
Here it is.
There we go.
So the book has a test that you probably it's the same that you did online, Avril, and mine's are like quality time number 1 and physical touch number 2. So it's what Avril said. We all have all of them, but then we are more in tendency of showing one more than the others. Almar, please.
Yeah, I agree. I think I have all 5 of them, really. But I understand that our love language really stems from how we were raised, how we experienced love growing up. And so just like both of you, quality time and physical touch, I believe.
So
Yeah.
I'm similar as well. Quality time, definitely. And I think quality time for me is, yeah, like time spent in conversation. Do you know what I mean? Not just around people, like physically. So I've learned that that's something that I definitely need within a relationship. And yeah, physical touch. And it's an interesting one, right? Because let's explain physical touch, because that may seem different, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to say put something contentious out there. Masculine versus feminine. What physical touch sounds like, but it sounds like intimacy, right? But even intimacy, are we just talking like sexuality here, like becoming like sexual in that way? Like, I know I'm asking the question, contentiously, right? Because I think some people may think that, like almost roll their eyes at, oh, physical touch, so you want to get frisky quickly. Do you know what I mean? But is that what it means to you?
Putting your hand on a shoulder and
Mhm.
even the shake, the introduction, there's that connection that is made.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's about connecting.
You know what a really cool well, I've realized I've been learning salsa, right? And we were talking about yesterday, there's like a lead and a follower, right? But that interaction physically between coming really close and then turns and that whole, sensuality, that's a really cool way of experiencing that physical touch as well.
One of the
Phys- okay, I'll go. Physical touch. I get that sometimes people, when they hear about love languages and hear the word physical touch, assume it's sex. No, it's there's certain people who like cuddling more than others. There are certain people like just being held, or like Alma say, just some people are good with handshakes. So just like it's literally as it says, physical touch. There's certain people who are more likely, whatever form of physical touch, even just patting on the back, well done, that kind of stuff. I mean, that goes into words of affirmation, but still, physical touch is not necessarily just sex. There's a lot more to love language or physical touch than intimacy. Sophia,
and
you're saying?
one of the things that I learned from the book, so before I read the book, I thought that the concept of love languages was exclusive to intimate relationships. But when you read the book, although he found out this by, how do you say, working with couples, and he started to understand this concept and creating this concept of the 5 love languages, it's in general how we deal with relationships. Is it with your intimate partner, with your friends, with your family? It's general to the way that you feel love in the really expression of what love is, and it's not just about your partner.
I think they say, how do you express love? And then that is your love language. And I don't think a lot of us even stop and take stock on how we express love. I know I never thought about it until now with all of
in a
you.
relationship, like to the point that you guys are talking about, like whose responsibility is it to, like, I guess, express their love language, or is it the partner's responsibility to figure that out through like the interaction, right? Because I think, again, look, we're life coaches. Some people don't. I mean, we encourage you to read the book or go and do the test, right? That's probably maybe the first step to kind of self-awareness, which we always talk about. But what if, people are not going through that or not doing that, and, your partner is maybe not very self-aware, or they're not really into that kind of thing, right? Let's be honest. Like, some people just, think that is silliness, right? It doesn't make sense. So for those people, let's say you're trying to figure out your partner's love language and they haven't told you, what are some ways that you might be able to explore that? Go on, Eve.
Do people really actively try to figure out the other person's love language? And responsibility is a big word.
Yeah. I don't think typically people don't, as far as I know, unless you know of these love languages and you're curious about it, then you go do the quiz. Not many people know that. However, one of the things like this guy did that I noticed happens in relationships, or even not in relationships, is that, say for example, acts of service, right? Acts of service, someone who, maybe I do the chores around the house, or I go do the banking or do the bills in a relationship, or even if I'm living with my family and I do that for my mother, or the reason we have these love languages, the way I look at it is that sometimes you may be in a relationship or in a family or in a friendship or whatever kind of relationship it is, and not feel loved, right? Or let's say if we're talking about romantic relationships here, I may be with a partner, then I'm doing all the things that I think show love. I do the bills, I do this, but in doing all that, my love language may be acts of service, and she may be someone who wants words of affirmation or quality time. So I may be doing all these things, but she's feeling not loved and appreciation.
Yeah,
So
but I think that's normal. Like what you're saying is normal in a relationship. You will give love how you receive love when you were younger, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think I did the same thing with like my first love language was receiving gifts because in my
Mm-hmm.
family's culture, whenever we used to go abroad to Mauritius, we used to go and give gifts, and for like Christmas is all like like so many presents. We just went there this last Christmas, and like my son got absolutely spoiled with like literally like tens, twenties of like different boxes, right,
Mm-hmm.
of presents. But like
Mm-hmm.
exactly, like so early on in my relationships, I tried to receive love by giving gifts and give love by giving gifts. Do you know what I mean? So you're absolutely right. And that's kind of the question I'm asking because that may not be seen like that to a person whose love language is, let's say, quality time or physical touch. So how do we bridge that gap?
I want to throw in that word responsibility that you brought up earlier. It is our responsibility to communicate with our partner to let them know what feels good and what doesn't feel good, what works and what doesn't work.
And the self-awareness part that you mentioned, Eric. So um, here making the bridge with Almar just said is a responsibility on our side and also create self-awareness because at least on my side, and Eric, I relate so much with what you said. When I read the book and I did the test, I also discovered things about me. For example, with the words of affirmation, that I thought it was one thing that it was important to me. But when I did a test and I also understand a little bit more about the concept, I understand, what really makes a difference in my life is spending time with people that I love. So creating this part of Almar in a podcast, I remember this so immediately when you said that. Almar in a previous podcast said, "We are not mind readers." And this is one of the moments that I would really like to encourage our listeners to understand that about our partners or the people that are in our life. Don't expect people to read your mind. Go and understand the concept. And if your partner or the person you are with doesn't know about it, tell them like, oh, because I learned this interesting concept. I read the book. I saw it online. Just, do you want to try it out? I've been introducing this concept to a lot of people in my life that have never heard of it before, and they are curious about it. So it's more on embrace your own and then express the curiosity to others.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
I love that. And yeah, I guess that's why I brought up the question, right? Because I think Almar's right. It's our responsibility to communicate. But again, I think there's two sides to this coin, right? With regards to what Avril said, there are some people that do not know what love languages are, right? So if you haven't done that research or, read the book or even just have an understanding that there are five love languages, right? That, come into, and you're probably, lean towards specific love languages. Again, I didn't know it when I would give gifts, and I thought that was the way of giving love, right, to people. Is that's how you show people that you care. Is I'd always Valentine's Day big, like think like scavenger hunts, like and things like that, and all of the things, right. So this is an interesting one because like I think I've moved more into that quality time, physical touch, but I guess you know I guess you can definitely have a mix between all, right? I think is what I'm trying to say. Like there's not like I think we put ourselves into these boxes of okay, quality time and but I think it's good to actually almost dip into the reserves almost as well, right? And who doesn't love a great act of service, right? I'm coming home from eating dinner and I get a takeout for my significant other. Do you know what I mean? That's an act of service. Or I get a massage for my what we're saying is that you can still give love in those ways, right?
Of course,
It's
but Eric, we're constantly evolving, and you have to remember that. And when we grow up, especially the first um, 7 to 10 years of our life, our beliefs are our parents' beliefs, our families. But as we grow and evolve and learn, so do our tastes and our I mean we start to come into ourselves. So yeah, I think first of all, yes, so all five love languages belong in everybody's box. But you're allowed to move from them, and you've done the exploration, you're just saying, to switch over, which is switch over to another love language that is maybe more dominant for you and that works for you for who you are today. I don't know. I don't want anybody to get all stuck on this is my love language and this is
Hmm.
the way, because I think we're setting ourselves up for um, who wants to feel stuck? We're setting ourselves up for disappointment, I think. Anyway,
100%.
yeah.
I think that one of the biggest things that we advocate here is always self-awareness, right? So we bring in this topic about love languages for one, for those who haven't heard about them, go look them up, take the quizzes and find out what your love language is first and foremost, or where you're having, because that way it gives you more understanding of. And I love the fact that it's not just about romantic relationships. So whatever relationship you're in, whatever dynamic is, how you receive love and give love, whether it's family, whatever you get to understand yourself a little bit more. What makes you feel loved and how you give love. And so that's the first part. Then the second part, we're just exploring, the evolving of it and how you show up in life with that. You know.
And is it okay, like acts of service? I actually really love acts of service, and I do them with a family member because for me, I'm showing my love and I'm taking care. But to the family member, they could care less. And
Exactly.
so I might feel a
Exactly.
little hurt, like, wow, I'm doing all of this, and you could, don't even bat an eyelash. But that's me to understand that this is how I'm showing love, and this person's not receiving it that way, but it doesn't negate that I'm still showing love that way. And so I shouldn't be expecting anything in return. I should just be giving because that's me loving, period.
Yeah.
But that's again a really interesting point, right? Because I think that's, I think, what I was trying to get at earlier is almost where, I don't know, it's great that we move forward with our understanding of how love works and things like this with the books and doing the test and stuff like that. But it's like we can almost oversubscribe, right, ourselves and become over self-aware and not really be in our bodies, right? And almost we're looking for, oh, my love language is acts of service, so I'm waiting for acts of service. If somebody doesn't show me acts of service, then they're not the one, right? They're but to your point, Almar, giving love, whatever type of love that is still an act of love, right? So I guess, for people kind of who are kind of in that boat, right, where, I don't receive love the right way, kind of what would you tell them, um, you know, with regards to love languages and how perhaps we can
Love
still.
transcends anything physical. It is energy. And, you know, we should be able to receive. We should. I don't like to use the word should, but, receive it as it is given in its energetic sense, not in a tangible, this is the way I like it. And so that's going maybe another step forward, but being able to recognize and feel love being given in whatever form it takes.
I like that. It's in a way like I'm just thinking as Alma, as you were saying that, I was thinking all the five love languages, right? If you talk about feeling it in energy, I'm like, yeah, I get that. Like whether it's words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, exercise, it's like if it's coming from a place of love, even if it's not your love, you can feel the energy. You can feel the energy.
But what, like, again, I'm pushing back here because some people
Mm.
don't know how to receive love.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So how
And
can
in a
we?
way, go ahead, Eric, go ahead.
I'm just like, how can we help the people who can't, like, because you know, I've been in relationships, right, where people really struggle to receive any type of love, right? Any type of love. It doesn't matter what language. So how can we Like, what's that process like? And I know we talk a lot about self-love, and we've spoken about self-love before, right? Before you can give love and receive love, you need to give love to yourself, right?
And in a way, I understand what both Almar and Avril have expressed, but I also think that when you create self-awareness on your love language, maybe you are doing the journey to what you said, Eric, to understand how you can love yourself too, because you are understanding more about the concept. I totally agree with Almar. Don't put yourself on a box. Now I'm totally like only physical touch, or only like you can receive and give love from all the 5 love languages here. But I also feel the importance of communicating this, like spending time where I can talk to a person is important to me. So I know that that will make a difference in my relationship. That doesn't mean that I will demand that the person is all the time with me talking and doing things, but this is important to me. If this never happens, I'm going to feel a little bit more distant in the relationship. So in a way, I understand the part of the energy, but if I don't communicate how I like to receive love, I cannot expect that the other person is going to guess. And also, if I just let the person be in the way that they express love, maybe I will not feel the love. And then there's the part of the communication that I think it's important.
Like that.
Agreed.
Like that. Just going back to your question, Eric, like we're talking about the 5 love languages, right? The love languages. And you're asking a question of like, what if someone struggles receiving love, right? The, I feel like that is actually going a little bit deeper on another level because let's say, for example, the love language can be words of affirmation, right? Someone tries to affirm me, and I never had that in my childhood.
Yes,
I
exactly.
struggle with that, right?
Mm.
Someone never came from a family that gives gifts. So someone wants to give me a gift, I may struggle to do that. But it may not necessarily mean I struggle receiving love. Do you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I feel like that could be something else going there. I mean, that could totally have something to do with my self-worth or what have you. That's why I feel I'm not worthy of gifts or, someone say, well done, Avril. I don't think I've done enough, all that kind of stuff. It may not necessarily have to be related to uh, uh, like receiving
And
love.
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. Where you're going with the question, I was
yeah.
like, with the 5 love languages, I feel like that would be something specific that would need to go deeper, going in that direction of why someone's struggling to receive love. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
No,
that case,
yeah.
it's
No,
not
I
the
agree.
delivery, it's, how you are able to receive. That's completely
yeah.
different.
It's
Mhm.
completely that. That's the
Mhm.
recipient. Whereas I feel like here is just like letting people know that these things called love languages and the challenges that may come in there. And like you said, if I'm in a relationship, whether it's a responsibility or what, I get to know my love language, right? Self-awareness, then be able to communicate it to my sister, my brother, or whoever I am romantically. Like, you know what, when you do these little things for me, I must admit, the last relationship I was in a place where randomly she wrote down the little things that I do for her that tickle her fancy, and she just said, you know what, when you touch my back and you do that, or you just hold my hand when you do that, like she wrote these random things, put on like, did you know that these things they really mean a lot to me? And to me, I was like, wow, I wasn't aware, but now that I now know her love language. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So it's like,
Mhm.
oh, that's sweet, that's cute. So she's aware. I'm doing all these things. I'm not aware that when I do them, they really hit the spot for her. But now that I'm more conscious of it, okay, cool. She likes it when I open the door for her. You know, that's the kind of stuff where you're like, as coaches, we're saying, get to know this stuff for yourself because it's gonna add a little bit of salt and spice and make your relationships better, whether they're romantic or not. At least it's just something that
All
definitely
she
gonna
had to
help.
do was tell you. Look at that.
Mm.
Exactly.
Chick.
Mhm.
Exactly. You know. Exactly.
Wow.
You
I
know.
don't know if you have another question, Eric, but something was here popping in my mind is, do you think that it's important for having the same love languages as the person you're with?
Sure makes things easier, huh? But
I
But
mean,
I
if
want
you
to hear
do,
Eric now.
Um, so does your partner's love language need to be the same? I mean, first of all, I guess, does it help? I think it's easier to give love that you're more, um, is more relatable to you. That that you like to receive. It's much easier to, like, let's say if you love to receive gifts, you're probably a better gift giver as well, right? Um, and so on and so forth. So I definitely think it can't hurt, right? Um, but yeah, I think
my
again,
my comedic mind went to like, oh, if I'm a words of affirmation person and I'm dating a words of affirmation, like, babe, you're amazing. Oh, babe, you're amazing too.
for 5 minutes,
it
right?
was
Back and
straight in a
forth.
Yeah.
comedy
Yeah,
skit, a
back and
comedy
forth.
skit. Yeah, no, exactly. You're right. You're right. That's hilarious. But no, I think it probably can get a little bit iffy, right? If your love languages are completely different, right? Just because we just definitely need to be more mindful, right? Because it might just come naturally. Like for me, who likes to spend quality time, I may just set out time on a Saturday night for us to just hang out, right? Whereas your one is maybe gift giving, then you're, again, to Almar's point, you receive, but it just doesn't come as naturally to you that is a
Yeah.
love that's being received, So I think it's a really good question. Have you guys ever been in relationships where that's the case, where your significant other basically has a love language that is completely different to yours, and you've kind of had to adapt the way that you show love? Or should you just be showing love the way that you think is right?
Can I jump in and say
Yeah,
that
sure.
most people have no idea about this whole love language deal.
Hmm.
Like it
Hmm.
doesn't,
Sure.
if you don't know
Sure.
about it, it's not in your world, and you go through relationships never quite feeling connected or loved and have no idea. You just think it's just the wrong person that you're with, I suppose. When yeah, I didn't know anything about love languages in all my years, and think that that could be it, and that to even think that I'd have to communicate to my partner what I needed to feel love. No, that's not the school I came from. So,
It's interesting, Eric, that you asked that, and I totally agree with Almar. The concept is very new for a lot of people, but it's something that I'm bringing up while dating, like also talking about mine, but also like, have you heard about this concept? What do you think of it? And also the reaction of the person really helps me also to understand a little bit more about them. Because if a person starts like, oh, curious, let me see, what is it? What are mine? Or what do you mean? Like it's something that is not going to be totally good for me if a person says, what do you mean love languages? Blah, blah, blah. So
I love that. Yeah, that open-mindedness for sure. 100%.
yeah, Avril.
You know.
What's the question? Sorry.
I guess it was like more. Remember.
If you have experienced this in your
Yeah.
relationships in
Oh,
the
my
past, Avril.
relationships.
When
Um, I,
you don't have the same love languages. Sorry.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with Am on this one that I don't think in my early relationships until probably 5, 10 years ago, I wasn't aware of this. And even when I've been in relationships, knowing about the love language is not something that's been constantly on my mind. This is how like I said, it was only this recent one relationship I was in where we did the test together as well. But prior to that, she'd mentioned this and it's like, oh yeah. So to me, if anything to wrap up, I would say it goes to the point of like, uh, again, being aware of how I show up and how I need to receive and give love, being able to communicate that as well. Because, for example, let's say, for example, if acts of service are really something that means a lot to me, and I'm in a partner that doesn't help out a lot in the house, and then to me that means a lot to me. So I feel less loved if I'm doing all the chores or what have you, you know. They may be showing me gifts and all that. So I say all this to say that yeah, just being knowing my aware of my love languages, communicating it to the person that I'm with, and also because we love people, once we know how they receive love, you automatically want to do those little things for them. So if I know, even with my mom, she loves little gifts here and there, that's how I'm gonna do that, for my mom. Surprise her, if it's not Mother's Day or her birthday, like, because I know the kind of love she does. So I just feel like I'll put it that way, knowing how I receive and give love, and also knowing how my partner or my family, friends do, that will just make life a little bit more sweeter.
That's
Mhm.
love that.
How do you want to wrap
Me,
up today?
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think everyone's right. I think there's a hint of truth in what everyone's saying. I think, um, you know, yeah, I think self-awareness is always like knowing kind of what you need in a relationship. I think is a first step, and like you should seek to get that from somebody else, right? But first, you probably need to give it to yourself and believe that you should should receive it. Um, and yeah, I guess for anyone that wants to learn more, Sophia, if you just put up the book again, Gary Chapman, The Five Love Languages. Hopefully, you've got a good a good kind of introduction into love languages. We definitely jump in, whenever we can. But apart from that, guys, final words just on love languages. I'll just keep it short and sweet. Just do you, man. Give love, receive love, and love will come back in abundance.
Oh,
Very nice.
I
I
love
don't know
that.
what
I have nothing more to say.
I'm not gonna go after that. I'm not gonna follow that. Those are the final words.
I,
All right,
I'm
guys. Thank you
See you
so
next
much.
time.
See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Life's a Coach, where our conversations aim to empower and support your personal growth. Until next time, remember that personal development is ongoing, so keep exploring, keep learning, and keep living a life that aligns with your true purpose. Take care, and we'll see you on the next episode of Life's a Coach.